YouTube like several times. It always does this. YouTube. All right. Yep, I can see it. It says stream will be starting soon. All right. Looks like we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the 40th episode of Got a Spotlight with Liaserenityrose. I am your host, Leah. And of course, I am joined by my co-host, Kevin, here today.
Hello, I'm very excited to be doing this Q&A with you, Leo.
And of course, our special guest of honor for today's episode is Sascha Biesi, the voice of Sara from the Sonic OVA movie.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So let's get started with this Q&A, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Here is my first question for you, Sascha. How did you get into voice acting? Like, how did you become interested and what inspired you to pursue this career?
Well, I started singing and dancing when I was 3, and then I started acting classes when I was 10, and started doing theater classes after school and dance classes after school and community theater and professional theater. And then as I got into my late teens, I started doing some film and television stuff. And once I graduated from high school, I kind of really, even though I went to college, I really put most of my emphasis was on acting and singing and dancing because that's what I had essentially trained for my whole life. Voiceover at this point was not even anything on my radar at all. Um, but when I moved to Austin in the early 90s to go to St. Edward's, where I ended up graduating with a theater degree, I started doing more film and television work. And I just got a couple of voiceover gigs and I really loved it. It was like little commercial spots here and there. Um, and then I had done a film in the early 90s, and sometimes after you are finished with filming, you have to go back in and re-record your lines over your scene. So you're watching your scene and you're redubbing your lines essentially. I forget what it's called, but anyway, so I was really good at it, and apparently not everybody's good at it. And they were thinking maybe it's your theater training that makes you so good at matching your own mouth and being able to still express without being in the scene. And I think that was when I first was like, oh, I kind of like this. Plus, you don't have to wear hair or makeup. It's great. It's casual work environment. And um, because I had been doing theater my whole life, I found voiceover work to just be so rewarding because you're able to just do so much more and have so much more fun in in such a different way. And so I guess I just loved it right off the bat. I mean, I was still doing musicals and things like that at night. But as far as film and TV went, I dropped out of that completely and just started doing voiceover work and theater, and that was like it for me. And I was in a happy place.
Oh, very, very interesting. That's really cool that like because of what that you pursued, theater because I know I had like several previous guests have also mentioned that they had like, they were into theater, whether if it was in high school and college, and that really helped them into kickstarting, their career in voice acting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, I mean, because theater acting and film acting are very different. Theater acting is big. You have to play to the back of the house. film acting is very small. The camera's right here, so you're more natural. You want to keep your reaction, everything's more subtle because the camera picks everything up. Whereas in theater, everything has to be so big because everybody has to see it. And so I think you learn this like range of expression, and especially in the parts that I was playing, I really got to use that kind of wide range that I had picked up along the way and just kind of playing and doing improv and doing theater classes and things like that just kind of taught me to use my voice and taught me to think outside the box and just to be, you know, bigger and crazier and louder. And it's okay, because in doing the voiceover work, sometimes that's kind of okay.
Hmm. Absolutely. All right, Kevin, do you have a question for Sasha?
Yeah, so how did you get the role of Sarah in the Sonic OVA? And I'm very curious what the direction was like for that specific character when you were recording her lines.
Gosh, okay, so I'll tell you what an audition for ADV Films was like. Okay, so kind of East Austin, close to downtown, there was this kind of almost like a warehouse kind of not like small warehouse type space by the railroad tracks. There was a coffee shop where all the actors always went to read their lines before their auditions because there were buildings that where auditions would be held within this kind of warehouse space, and there was a sound stage and whatever. And through the coffee shop, there was a doorway that led to a hallway, and that's where the doorway was for ADV Films. So, anytime there was an audition, you would stop at the coffee shop first and you would sit and you'd read through whatever you had and kind of get in your headspace. And then you would just go in and read your lines and hope for the best. I mean, Sarah wasn't a huge part, but she was a great part and a part that I really, really loved and, of course, wanted to play because it was right in line with kind of the other characters that I had played for them. Um, so I'm really, really fortunate and lucky that I got cast as the role of Sarah. Um, for the directing, I mean, if you, well, you've all probably seen the OVA, you hear me screaming a lot. It was just like, do it, just go for it. That was kind of that was why we had so much fun because it was just like, don't hold back, just go for it. And if we need you to pull back, we'll pull back. But better to just throw it all out there and see what happens. And so that was kind of the direction that we went. We just had fun and it was fun. It really was fun.
Oh, wow. Like the fact they're like, just go all out because this character is going to be screaming a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
I love how they're just like, they're not holding you back, they're like, just give it your all, because
Yeah. Yeah, and at this point, I had done a few other voiceovers with ADV, so they already kind of knew me. So we already had kind of a relationship to where we trusted each other and they trusted me and I trusted them. And so when I'm given free rein, they know that I'm gonna do my best to do my best with it. So I think that's why it worked so well.
absolutely, like like Sarah was pretty hilarious.
It was so fun. Oh my gosh.
Like she is such a funny character. Like like I could tell that you had like so much fun too.
It's
Being
stupid how much fun I had, really, honestly. I should pay them back, maybe.
all right. Here is like my next question for you, Sasha. Were there any professional voice actors who inspired you to become a voice actor yourself? If so, can you name them?
Gosh, no. I'm trying to think. I don't. I think it's like what I was saying before. Like, I never thought, because I did theater, I did film, I did TV shows, I did whatever. I never really thought of voiceover work as like a job or a career path until it suddenly was presented to me as a, because like, so I never really had an agent. You know, when I worked in Dallas and doing film and television, I had a crew of friends. We were all actors, and a couple of them had agents, but we would just tell each other about auditions. And so we would just show up at auditions for stuff. And like, I feel like it was just kind of like that back then. It was like we just did whatever, and I never thought that I would do voiceover work. You know, you hear commercials, but you don't think of it as being voiceover work. You just hear them. I did a video game, like um, I think the first ever voiceover actually that I did was for a like a flight simulator game, and it was like hours in the booth, like counting to 100, saying your ABC, like doing because they needed all the words and all the things. And I was like, wow, this is really harder than I thought. Um, Before I started doing fun stuff like dubbing, which is like so much fun. Um, but yeah, I can't think of any specific voiceover actor that I kind of wish I could have been. Um, there's so many actors that have such great ranges of voices that they can do. Um, but yeah, I just never thought that would be a path for me, but it feels like it was such a natural path for me. It was a perfect fit, really.
Mm, that's very interesting. It's kind of like you never know where life will take you.
It's true. It's true because I mean, I was training my whole life to be on stage. And then I started doing film and television. I never thought I would do that. So it kind of is I mean, and being a hustler and being an actor, you just kind of have to go where the jobs are and you go with the flow and you don't ever say no to anything. And so if you do it like that, you never know where you're going to end up, you know? It could be somewhere really great and unexpected.
Absolutely. All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, now I'm muted. Yes, has Sarah finally beat Robotnik in the fighting game? No, I'm kidding.
One of these days.
One, it's okay. One more time. She swears she'll beat him. But no, the real question I have is I know one of the most famous scenes that fans will point to is when Robotnik says like now we can get married, Sarah, and we'll spend the rest of our days in our happy lives, and Sarah's just imagining what that will be like with the rockabye robot, and of course reacting afterward. And I'm very curious what the direction was like for that specific scene, and what it would be like to record her reaction to it.
I mean, it just go crazy, you know? I mean, that was just it. Because when I just think it's another example of them just being like, just go for it, then let's see what happens, you know?
Mhm. Because I think that scene, like it definitely was like, whoa,
Yeah.
like her reaction to it was just very telling. It's like when I saw that scene, I was just like Kevin here, that scene flew over my head as a
Hmm.
kid, where it's like we don't understand until like when you're like an adult, you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I
I
see where
remember
this is
watching it
going.
back a couple of years ago and I was like, oh, I don't know, I missed that.
All right. Here is my next question for you, Sasha. Are there any warm-ups you do for your voice before you recorded for a Sonic OVA?
Yeah, I always did vocal warm-ups, probably in my car on the way over there, just because I was a singer and I knew that, you know, Um, it's no different. You're using your voice as your instrument at the time, and the days are long and the booth is cold, so it's really important to be warmed up. So, I probably just did regular voice, exercises like I would do in a singing class or something like that, just to kind of warm up my voice because I cannot tell you how cold it was inside that booth. That I remember. So, yeah, it's always really important to warm up first. I always thought. But that's my singing train kicking in, I think.
Mm. Yeah, because I know other voice actors have mentioned that, yeah, they do warm up their voice before they go into the recording studio. Like, is there like specific voice vocal warm-ups that you do that you can like demonstrate what you do?
I mean, probably more like for Sarah because she was so screechy sometimes, I would
Hmm.
probably do like the high, like, that kind of thing, or like that one, the horse mouth one. Um, and maybe scales, but probably more like that, kind of thing that singers do. Um, to kind of like warm up the higher range of my voice because her voice was I mean, my voice is a lot lower now. It's 30 years later.
Hmm.
No longer a soprano. Um, but to warm up that upper range so that I had the ability and the power to be able to get up as high as I needed to and to screech and scream and yell and whatever. Yeah, probably more of those how kind of higher up warm ups.
Mm.
No
Yeah.
do re mi's.
Mm. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Yeah. Sarah definitely has a like high pitched voice, so it does definitely make a lot of sense that you have to do like vocal warm-ups that are like yeah, to go high in
Yeah.
my voice range.
Yeah.
So that way I can prepare my voice for
You don't want to crack
Sarah.
up there.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah. Yeah, so I know you have gone back and watched the OVA. I'm very curious what your perspective like when you actually go back and watch and hear your own voice and versus when you went in and recorded those lines.
I'm trying to think of when I first, I mean, I don't remember back in the olden days watching it, but I remember watching it on YouTube. Like I think during COVID, maybe I watched it on YouTube. Um, and gosh, it was just so cute. It was such a good movie. It was, because at the time it was, I mean, I love Sonic. It was just a fun, it was just a fun job that I did. It was fun. I didn't realize what it was going to become. So watching it back now, um, is kind of, I don't know, it's really special and nostalgic for me. It brings me back to a time in my life when I was really happy and working a lot and enjoying the people that I was working with and enjoying the jobs that I had um and my gosh, what I was able to like I can't almost believe that that's me just having such reckless abandon and just doing what I did, is really kind of just like a little bubble in time for me. So I love watching it. Honestly, I really love watching it. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times since COVID, which probably isn't that many, but it's a lot for me.
Mm. Yeah, because like I know there's like some voice actors who sometimes they don't watch what they voice in because sometimes they'll be critical of like I was like I should have delivered it this way, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm very curious when you watch Sonic OVA did you ever feel anything like that with like oh maybe I should have delivered this line like that or maybe I should have did
No, I feel like I love Sarah just the way she is. I have never felt like I would change anything about that at all. I kind of, I kind of like her the way she is. I kind of like her the way she turned out. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh, that's good because I know I've seen like other like convention interviews of like voice actors. They some of them have mentioned, yeah, I don't watch like the anime or cartoons I voice in because I'll be critical. I'll be too critical on myself when I of my voice performance for like specific lines and but that's good that you're like, nope, I'm satisfied with Sarah
It was
with my
fun.
performance as
Yeah.
Sarah.
And I don't tend to ever be really one of those people that watches things back and thinks, "Oh man, I really messed that up. I could have done better." I've never been overly critical of watching myself back, so I'm kind of that's just not really who I am. Plus, what are you gonna do? You can't change it now anyway, so we might as well just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, but here is my next question for you, Sasha. Do you have any personality traits that are similar to Sarah? Like, is there like ways that you relate to her?
I mean, I do fly off the handle sometimes. Um, no, I mean, I do. I mean, I've had my bratty moments. Sure. I don't like losing at games. I'm super competitive, so maybe that's it. I do wish that I had pink ears and a cute pink tail and a cute pink outfit that I could wear every day. That would be perfect.
Oh, yeah, like her outfit is just adorable.
She's so cute. She is so cute.
You
I
kind
love
of
her.
wish you're kind of like, I wish I had her outfit.
I do. I do. I wish that I looked like her. She is so adorable.
All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah, so we grew up hearing your voice, and now we have the next generation of fans who are growing up now and, watching the Sonic OVA. And, the older fans will of course say, oh, wow, that was you and Sarah. Oh, I grew up hearing your voice. And the newer generation of fans are going to say, "Oh, wow, that's who voiced her." I'm very curious what your perspective on that is and what you would like to say to both old and new fans who are listening to this Q&A.
I mean, I love the timeless nature of it, that even though it was done in the 90s, I think because it's so true to who it is, that's the Sonic film, um, it's so true to Sonic that it's kind of timeless. So, I feel like the voices that we did then are still fine now. It's held up, I think, really well. I think that it's amazing that there were fans then and that there's new fans now. I mean, my nephew is one of them. Um, I just think it's so pure and it's very entertaining. It holds up still, I think. Um, so I mean, I think it's really amazing when you have something that can still be watchable 30 years later. You know what I mean? Especially something made in the 90s. Like to still be able to watch it and be entertained by it, even though it is dated, um, is pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely agree on that. Because as someone who grew up watching the OVA, it holds a very special place and a very special nostalgic place in my heart. And I still love it to this day, watching it as an adult versus watching it as a kid.
Yeah, same. I think it's really sweet. I think it's a unique and very special thing that can bring so many generations together in such a pure, happy, nice way, you know? I love it.
hmm Yeah, like the Sonic OVA movie, like it really captures like the classic era of the Sonic franchise pretty well because of the art style.
Hmm.
Like because even though the Sonic OVA isn't really connected to the main canon lore, like it has like its own like special charm to it.
Yeah,
like even if you didn't really grow up, with like the classic games, like this movie pretty much gives you like the classic Sonic vibes. Um, because because when I looked at it, I'm like, oh wow, this looks like something that can be in the classic Sonic games.
yeah, yeah. That's actually a really good point. It's true.
So when I watch it, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, they really captured these like characters' personalities because obviously in the classic Sonic games, there was like no voice acting,
Right.
and then we kind of had to like imagine what their voices would be. But here in the Sonic OVA, we could kind of get like a more visual, oh, this is what they would sound like,
Yeah, yeah.
So I think, the Sonic OVA just brings up the visualization of what the classic version of these characters like could sound like, And and it has like a lot of memes now that grew out of this movie. Um but yeah, it has like a special charm to it. Like I think I watched it about like 3 or 4 times like you, Sasha. Um,
It's
so
like sweet and like comforting in a way. I don't know.
yeah, absolutely. It is very like it is very like it just has like this special place, that I think when like back in the day, I wasn't really aware that, oh, I did not know Sonic had like a movie, like an animated movie. Um, so this is pretty much like a really great introduction into it. Um, and and as soon as I fell in love with like Sarah's like very, very energetic personality, you know. So I think, Sarah just adds like this extra charm, to the film.
Yeah.
Um, and the fact that's like her only appearance.
Oh, I know. I didn't ever, I mean, when I realized that, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. Thank you. I thought that was really cool. I was like, wow, okay, fun. I'm the only one. So I thought that was neat.
All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah, I know you had mentioned seeing some fan work. Are there any that have stood out to you the most? I know they have done some little references to the OVA, like with Knuckles' hat being like brought in as like an accessory to the game. But like any fan works that have stood out to you? Because I know the community can be very creative.
Yes, I know that in the past few years they made maybe another version of it, a fan version, but I still haven't, I'm sorry, I still haven't watched it. Um,
I know what you're talking
you know
about.
what I'm talking
They
about?
did
Okay.
make another version of it.
Okay. And I'm sorry, but I still haven't watched it because life. Um, what I love seeing, honestly, is fan art of Sarah, just people's interpretations and drawings of her. I love. One day I will get one tattooed on my body because I have lots of tattoos. I'm just missing Sarah. So one of these days I'm going to get one of those fan arts tattooed because they're so
Ooh, that would be really nice.
Oh, that is so interesting. I love that you want to like because Sarah, obviously like that you're like the only English VA for this character. Meanwhile with like other characters like Sonic, he had like Jaleel White, yeah, he had Martin Burke, and then he had Ryan Drummond, and then Jason Griffith, and then Roger. Then we of course we have the Paramount version. We have Ben Schwartz. So all these other main characters have like multiple VAs, but Sarah, has just one English VA.
funny. Yeah,
Which is
I feel
just
really fortunate.
yeah, absolutely. Like it's just very, very intriguing, that you are the only one that can say, I voiced this character, you know, she just has like this energy that just adds to the film. Like I love her interactions with her dad too.
Oh,
Like
totally.
like her interactions with the dad always made me laugh every time I go to rewatch it. Um, because her interactions obviously with Sonic and her father are like very different,
Yeah.
because obviously she has a thing for Sonic, so
Yeah.
that's why she tries to play like, oh, can you please help me? And I just love like the banter between the characters in this movie. It's it's
Yeah,
really
it's
great.
really cute. It's so cute.
Ooh. Okay, I see a question in the chat by Dolius the Wolf. On a scale of cuteness from 1 to 10, how would you rate Tails' design in the OVA? Ooh.
Oh, I mean, isn't Tails always cute? I don't, I can't picture Tails in my head from the OVA, but isn't Tails always cute? I'm gonna say, because I don't remember, I'm gonna say 7 because I think Tails is always cute.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Man.
Tails.
As a Tails fan, I approve.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, like it's kind of an interesting question when people ask questions like that. It's like, hasn't he always been cute?
I
It's
know.
like, do I need to rate him? Um, but but yeah. Ooh, okay. Let me go check. Ooh, okay. I'm very curious, Sasha, since you have mentioned that you had to do a lot of screaming for Sarah in the Sonic OVA, like how did you maintain the health and quality of your voice since she has like a very like high pitched voice and you have mentioned you had to do a lot of screaming for this role?
Yeah. Um, I was so young back then. Probably didn't matter at that time. Um, I I know I definitely probably had tea and water with me. But back then, I kind of didn't fully appreciate the need to take care of my voice as much as I do as I've gotten older. Um, I'm sure I rested my voice a lot in between um, the recording because I'm sure it was exhausting. Because even though you're not doing it for a long period of time, you're just doing it for that take or for that scene or whatever, you still do need to rest because it will take a toll um, after a while. Um, so mostly all I ever really ever did was just rest my voice. Just
Mm.
an old singer's trick.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know like especially when you're going into a session, for Sarah especially, it's like because I realize when I rewatch it now, I'm just like, oh yeah, Sarah does a lot of screaming in this
I
movie.
know.
And I'm
He
kind
does.
of so I'm kind of like, oh, I hope the voice actress didn't like destroy her voice or anything, trying to get all the screaming.
No, I was never the girl that played the ingenue. I always played some kind of crazy character on stage and I was a belter as a singer. So I kind of had a lot of range in my voice at the time. Um, so knowing me and knowing where I was in my life and the classes that I was taking to work on my voice, I probably knew not to strain. I probably knew what my limits were, and I probably was careful to not push too hard, knowing that I had more to do so that I didn't burn myself out, burn my voice out, so that I would then have to be hoarse for the rest of it. So I was
Mm.
probably more careful than I remember being.
Ah, that's good because I heard like uh, as I mentioned earlier, I have listened to like other like voice actors when they have like when they have like panels at conventions. Like one of them has mentioned, oh yeah, I went through like a very grueling where I had to do a lot of war cry, and it destroyed their voice, and I'm like, oh no.
Ah.
So it's like because especially when you're doing a lot of screaming or like, war cry type dialogue, your voice always has to be like loud, so but that's good that at least you were like at least like cautious about it, where it's
Yeah.
like I know I have to go back in to record more lines for the characters.
Yeah, but I wasn't just a voiceover actor. I was a trained singer and I was taking voice and diction lessons. So I was really training always this part of my body to perform. So I kind of had a skill set that I might not have. I mean, I was in my early 20s, so like I probably wasn't even thinking that I had a skill set at that time, but I most definitely had to have had a skill set already drilled into my brain from all of my teachers my whole life of how to protect my instrument because when I was younger, before I learned how to control my voice and take care of my instrument, I did blow it out and it was not fun. And I did have friends who would get like nodes and they wouldn't be able to sing and it would be really awful. And I was always scared of something like that happening. But, you know, if you've ever done a theater thing where you got, I did a thing where I had 6 shows a day, 6 days a week. So you learn how to put controls on yourself so that you don't burn your voice out. So I probably had more skills than I gave myself credit for at that time.
Mm. Yeah, that's actually good, that you were like instilled at, when you were younger that like you have to protect your instrument. Like, um, because what I know that like even as a voice actor, like even your voice is considered your instrument.
Mhm.
It's very delicate,
Mhm.
and you can easily like destroy your voice, without proper care.
Yeah.
And your voice is pretty much like taking care of an actual physical instrument. Like
100,
I
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
yeah, like I actually took like orchestra like lessons when I was
Mhm.
like in elementary school, and my teacher always taught me, yes, you got to take care of your instrument. You got to be sure it's clean, you got to
Mhm.
be sure that you tune it, to make sure it's in tune. So, yeah, like your voice is pretty much your instrument in voice acting,
It
you know.
is.
It's a great analogy, Sasha. All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah, I'm very curious what the auditioning process was like for the character. Did they show you like a picture and they said like, okay, well, this is what the character is like. We would like for you to make her sound like this. And did you ever get a chance to watch the Japanese version at all, just to get an idea?
No, nothing. No. I mean, back then it was just, you just had a couple of sheets of paper with some lines on it, and you would just go in and you'd read them. And that was the audition process. It wasn't like you got to, I don't remember seeing the character or even knowing to watch a previous version of it to get an idea of anything. Um, like I said, I had already done a few things with them before, so they kind of knew what my range was already. They knew that I was capable of pulling this off. So I probably had an advantage going in, maybe. Um, but no, I probably went to the coffee shop, read through my lines, went through the door, and just gave it my all.
Wow. So so basically you just had to like come up with a voice for Sarah. because like as you said, they didn't even give you any reference
Yeah,
to like
I don't remember being given any kind of, I mean, maybe probably they would have, but I don't remember if they were like, she needs to sound like this or she needs to sound like that. I think they were just looking for someone who sounded like what they imagined she would sound like. And I just happened to be the one.
mm, yeah, because I know in some like in modern now, like sometimes they do have like a reference, like a reference sheet of the character, and then they kind of give you like, oh, this is what the character's like background story is.
Yeah.
But I have to say you did a great job at least coming up with a voice, with like very limited, like you weren't given any like reference to the original Japanese BA for Sarah, so I think you did a pretty great job, Sasha.
Thank you.
Ooh, okay. Dolius has another question for you. What is the craziest character you've played? I'm not sure. Is it a good crazy or is it bad crazy, Dolius?
Voice character or character in general?
Because the question is, what is the craziest character you've played? Like, I don't know if it's a good crazy or is it a bad crazy, because there's like two different
I
categories
think
of
about
what
that.
you. Oh, character in general. Okay, Dolius
In
just.
general, okay. Gosh, craziest. I did play this really weird lady once. And every time she entered the stage, it was like she wore muumuus and she was pretty crazy. And every time she walked on stage, I like had this really funny face that I made and like this kind of an entrance, where she was like, I'm ready for my close up kind of a thing. She was pretty crazy. I think she may have murdered and hidden a body. I'm not sure. Um, that was theater crazy. Gosh, that's such a good question. I'd have to find my resume and try to remember. I played a lot of really fun parts, but probably like in terms of like getting to go crazy, the voiceover stuff was like getting to go crazy because you don't have to
Mm.
hold back at all.
Mm. Yeah, that's very interesting because because when Dolius asked craziest of like, do you mean good crazy, bad crazy?
Right.
Um, because there's obviously two different types of crazies, there's
Yes.
like different character archetypes, so
True.
that's why I'm like,
I
which
mean, because Sarah's kind of crazy.
yeah, yeah, like she has like the funny crazy is the best way to describe it
I know.
because
That's true. She's sweet crazy.
yeah. Oh, okay. I see another question in the chat by Dino Kaiju. Curious question, did voicing Sarah in the OVA got you interested into the Sonic franchise, like the games, the other TV shows, comics, and even the live action movies? Great
That's a
question.
really good question. I am super old school, so I played the Sonic game from when it came out until my Sega broke. Um, and but other than that, not really. I mean, I just love the video game was my jam, but just that like very first version of the game, honestly. Just I can hear it in my head, the rings. Ding, 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 ding. Everybody's like, I know that sound too. Um, but no, I mean, I always had a soft spot for Sonic because I played the game and I did the part. But I haven't seen the new films that have come out. Um, but yeah, so I guess maybe not really. But I do have always had like a really soft spot for Sonic, just because I loved him before I did the voice. So,
Oh. So what was like your first Sonic game that you played?
I mean, wasn't it on this? It was on the Sega Genesis, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, that'll be the one. Old school.
Oh, nice. Because at least that's good. You were like familiar with the
Yeah,
franchise before going into the role where you're like, that you're kind of like, oh, I know this character. I played it on the Sega Genesis.
yeah, yeah. But I still didn't. It's so funny because I still didn't think like this is like a huge big deal. Wow, Sonic movie. And now, 30 years later, I'm like, wow, that was such a huge big deal. The Sonic movie. So, yeah, it's funny how that works out.
Hmm. Yeah, like because as you mentioned earlier, you never know where life's gonna take you. You're like, wow, I didn't think I was gonna voice like in in a franchise where I actually played the game on the Sega Genesis, and now I actually have made a mark in history in the Sonic franchise, just like voicing Sarah.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm really lucky. I love it.
Absolutely. All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah, are there any specific scenes or lines that you enjoy either watching or recording the most in the OVA?
I mean, when she's like on the floor kicking and screaming and saying, no, 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 one more time or whatever, that one. That's
Oh,
my
I
favorite.
love that scene.
Like, I watch that every day. I love it so much.
I just love the dynamic between Robotnik and Sarah because, like, one moment they're at each other's throat, and the next moment, yeah, they're just there chilling, playing a fighting game together.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's so cute. Yeah, I could watch that all the time. I love it.
It was just funny because, like, no, when Robotnik said, like, no, we played 100 times, and Sarah's like, I'll stop being your hostage, but
That's right.
Robotnik
That's right.
immediately comes in.
I'll stop being your hostage. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely enjoyed that, like, oh, Sarah's good at bribing Robotnik for some strange reason.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And I kind of like when she like whenever I see her like whine or scream, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just love how she has like she's like throwing a tantrum like a
Oh,
little kid.
all she did was throw tantrums.
And every time I see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like, I was like, oh my gosh, she's acting like a little kid throwing a tantrum if she doesn't get what she
Yeah.
wants.
Girl knows how to get her way.
Absolutely. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you, Sasha. From your perspective, what do you think made the role of Sarah challenging? Like, did it feel challenging to tap into her character and personality?
I don't know that I would describe it as a challenge, except that I had never really um let go to that degree, that kind of wild abandon of throwing tantrums and screaming and yelling. And so that was probably a fun challenge for me, I would say. Um, she was just, I mean, she's not a very complex character. She knows what she wants. She knows how to get it. She throws tantrums. Um, she knows what she likes and doesn't like. So more for me, I think it was just trying to capture her true essence as much as I could without knowing the character going into it. It's trying to capture the essence of a character that you're just being shown for the first time, kind of, when you're doing the lines. So that was probably the challenge for me.
Mm. Yeah, like I think, with because I can imagine you're like you kind of have to like tap into like your your bratty kid side. You know how like the phrase goes, you're still a child deep down even when you grow up.
Yeah.
Like we still have all that inner child. And I think you brought it out pretty well in Sarah, because like she can be a brat,
Yeah.
throwing the tantrums. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so like, but I think my favorite aspect about that is like at the end of the OVA movie, and then like she just ends up jumping into like Robotnik's like I guess like vehicle thing. Go after Sonic. He's like, what? like, like, and then he's like, okay, like Robotnik. Normally, Robotnik would not like submit to like demands like that, but
Yeah.
he's like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to do it. um, so like she just has like this interesting charm about her, like you could say that she's like probably one of the brattiest like female characters if anything, but she has a great charm to her. I love her character.
Thanks. Yeah, she does have a sweetness to her. She is sweet.
All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah, you had mentioned you've done other roles at ADV Film. Can you talk about those roles and what it was like to work for them in general back then?
Um, it was it was awesome. I loved working with them. I mean, it was like, I've had a I worked for a really long I had a long career as a performer until I was in my 30s, from when I was really young. And I've been fortunate enough to have worked with some really amazing people in all different genres. And I would consider working with ADV in my like very, very, very top three um, of favorite people that I've ever worked with. Um, I think the first that I did with them was Airbats, and I played, she was like a fighter pilot or something. And it was fun because she had short hair, and at the time I had short hair, and her hair was reddish, and my hair was reddish. So I felt like I was playing myself because she looked like me. Um, And it was my first kind of introduction into like what is a mouth flap and how do you match them? And this is so weird, but wow, this is so fun. Um, and then I did one called Maps and one I don't remember what it was called, but it was weird. And there was this lady and she was flying through the sky with stuff. Anyway, um, so Airbats was my favorite one. It was a series, and I really loved that one. But I loved anything. I mean, I would have done anything that they wanted me to do. Anything. They really made an impression on my career, I think, for sure.
Mm, very interesting. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you, Sasha. Um, what what are some of your most valuable skills as a voice actor?
Fearlessness, improvisation, creativity, range. Yeah, those are good answers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I feel like, especially improving,
Yeah.
because especially like say for example, you go in for an audition and then like they like imagine like the voice directors, they don't really give you any like image visualization of the character, and then you're like, and then they tell you just come up with like a voice. and they just give you something vague and you kind of like, okay, I need to like improv something.
Yeah.
Like improv is definitely one of the skills that a voice actor does need. Because it's kind of like you have to like think under pressure,
Mhm.
when you have to improv, because you can't really like you can't like you have to like stay calm and like, okay, this is what I can do to like improv.
Yeah.
Um, but great answers. All right, Kevin. Do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah, from your personal perspective, what makes the Sonic OVA so special? Just looking back at it, was it 26 years later?
I think what makes it so special to me is just because it's the highest representation of one of the best times of my life. It was a great time to live in Austin. It was a great time to be working as an actor. It was a great time to be working as an actor in Austin. Um, Everyone was so awesome and nice. The vibe was so great here. Um, yeah, it was a special time for sure.
That's interesting. I know from a fan perspective, just what makes it special, at least to me personally, it just I love the dynamic of the character. The animation was great. The music
Yeah.
was especially wonderful, and it was just nice to see those elements from the game, like the tornado and Dr. Robotnik and Metal Sonic at the time being brought to life,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
didn't see at the time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it just it really did capture kind of a moment, I think. And it's still a moment of its own, even now, all these years later. So it's pretty special.
Yeah, like I know with in I just love how they were able to translate their portrayal of the classic versions of the characters so well. Because like when you just see them, in just the 8-bit, in 16-bit, you're kind of like, oh, I kind of wish I can hear what they are like, you know
Yeah.
what they would sound like. And then this movie really gives you the visualization, like, oh, we can finally see their personalities coming out more, and we can hear their voice, and you're like, oh, okay, this is I was like, fine, we get like a visualization,
Yeah.
so Oh, okay. I see another question by Delius. Did you ever listen to any of the music from the OVA in your spare time?
That's so funny. I've just been sent the music and I'm planning on listening to it this evening. So no, I haven't. I don't know why I just never thought about it, but I'm definitely planning on listening to it.
Ooh, okay. My next question for you, Sasha, is like, when you rewatch it, is there any like particular funny moments that you enjoyed from the Sonic OVA movie?
Um, well, it's kind of like that scene that everybody's like, didn't realize what it was till they were older, you know? When I first noticed that, I was like, oh, that's funny. Um, so yeah, but I'm gonna come back to that same scene of like, one more time. Because it's just so funny. I love that scene so much. I know I'm in it, but like it was so fun and so funny.
Nice. I think like another scene is that I think when Metal was like beating up Sonic, Sarah like had no hesitation and was ready to throw arms, and she was like trying to like have Metal let go of Sonic in that one scene.
Forgot about that. Yes. Oh my gosh.
I was like, this girl is so fearless. Like she's not even scared of like this robotic counterpart of Sonic, and she's just like trying to like, hey, get your hands off him.
Anything for Sonic.
Hmm. Like that scene, I was like, wow, this girl's got guts. I'll give you like I'll give that to her. Like she didn't care if she was gonna get hurt in the process. She's
Yeah.
like, hey, it's like you gotta let go of the guy. You gotta let go of him. You know, but that but that's something I admire about Sarah. Like she's just like fearless. Like
She,
she yeah, she's just so fearless. You know, that's what I admire about her character.
yeah, I like that about her too. She really, really, really is. She really does not care. She will get what she wants. She doesn't have to have any fear because she knows she'll get what she wants in the end anyway. She knows how to get it. So, you know. But yeah, I do like that about her too.
Hmm. All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
What would you like to say to the next generation of fans who are growing up now and looking to get into voice acting and professional work, and of course, who are doing fan work of things now?
Well, I mean, it seems so much easier now than it used to be. You know, you can go online and order a setup and get yourself set up. You can read blogs and find YouTube videos on how to set yourself up a voiceover studio in your own home. You know, I remember always having to have a reel, where it was like you'd be you in like your MP3 player on your computer, like splicing together to get all of your different voices onto one CD that you could take to auditions or send to audition for stuff. Now I would say, you know, it's like what we were talking about before about considering your voice as your instrument and being willing to do whatever, anything, it doesn't matter how small or how big, because eventually people need to see what your range is. Directors are going to want to know what you're capable of, what the cadence of your voice is, what the sound of your voice is. Like I have a lot of vocal fry now because, I mean, I'm in my 50s now. Um, so it's really important to kind of keep that machine well oiled. And I think, it's a great gig if you can get into it, if you want to get into it. It's fun, it's rewarding. You can do it from home now, which is awesome. No more cold booths to climb into to do your voiceover work necessarily. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great for people to want to do this.
Like absolutely. Like um ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you, Sasha. Do you have any advice for people who are aspiring to be voice actors?
Just keep at it, don't give up. There's a lot of people, I think, probably in the world right now that are thinking voice acting is the way to go and is pretty cool. And, there are a lot of opportunities for voice acting. There's so many channels now and so many commercials and so many radio stations, and there's just so much more where you just hear a voice, if you think about it, compared to back then. It's exponentially grown. So, the need for fresh voices, I think, is probably really high. And I would say, just if it's something that you're passionate about and it's something that you really want to do, then you should do everything you can to make that happen, because why not? There's no reason why you can't do something that you really want to do.
Absolutely. I love the advice, because I know I have like some of my friends who are very interested into becoming voice actors, you know. Every voice actor has like their own story of like how they got started into it. Like some have mentioned, oh, I stumbled upon voice acting by accident
Mhm.
because they were like, I was more of like a theater person, because I think like most people don't realize that like sometimes theater can lead into like voice acting
For
unexpected.
sure.
It's like sure they are two different mediums because in voice acting, you're usually in a booth,
Mhm.
and then um you have to act with your voice, obviously, and then you don't really get the full visualization of what's going on in that scene. You have to like read off the script. Meanwhile, with theater, yeah, you have to like memorize, all your parts, and you have the script. So like, oh, this is what's happening in this scene.
Mhm.
So but usually from the previous like voice actor guests, they like stumbled upon it by accident.
I mean, I think that's what happened to me, you know? I mean, how did I end
Hmm.
up doing a flight simulator, you know?
Hmm.
But like, there are different types of voice acting. There's commercial voice acting and there's the real difference, like we were talking about improv and stuff and how that comes into play and is a really important component and skill to have. But when you're dubbing foreign films, you have to someone has translated it based off of the mouth flaps. So they've done their best to make English words match the mouth flaps of another language's words. So when you're in the booth, you have a script and you may say the line, but it doesn't match the mouth flaps. So
Hmm.
it's trying to like be flexible with, do we need to change the line? Do you need to say it faster, slower? How do we make it match the mouth flaps and still make sense? Um, Whereas if you're just doing a voiceover for a car commercial or something, that's a very different skill. I mean, not skill set, but it's a very different vibe,
Hmm.
because you have a script. And usually in these cases, you have a time limit in which you have to say them. So voice and diction really helped me a lot. And I didn't take any voice and diction classes until I was at St. Edward's. And I think that that really helped me a lot because when you go into a situation for a voiceover job where you have, let's say, 30 seconds, you
Hmm.
have to be able to get it out in that amount of time. But not just that, it has to be able to be understood. So,
Hmm.
um, so it's kind of just understanding that it's not just the same as talking or reading lines or saying words. There's a lot more that kind of goes into it. Um, and so paying attention to those little nuances could could really help somebody, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, like absolutely. Because I know that is usually the case in voice acting when you're like dubbing like, like a cartoon or an anime, right? That's obviously from a different country of origin, and then usually they just do it by the mouse flaps.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure if it probably is still the case, but I think nowadays they actually try to like at least I think in one of the games that I actually I watched this panel about with the voice actors for Final Fantasy, and they
Oh,
actually said they don't do it by the mouth flaps anymore.
oh, cool.
The animators actually animate the mouths to the English. Um so it makes it like easier so they don't have to like, because as you said with mouth flaps, it's you have to, as you said, you have like a very specific amount of time to like say that line in order to mouth flap it.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's more of a thinking game than an acting game. It's kind of an acting game and a thinking game. Whereas
mhm,
I guess if you're not having to match mouth flaps, you're just acting at that point, and someone else
mhm,
is doing that work. You're not having to worry about that part. So you're able to just not think about anything and just perform.
mhm.
Whereas before, you did have to think about, you had to watch the mouth, you had to match the flaps, you had to get it right. So you're acting, but you're thinking at the same time. So you've got kind of two things going on at once. You can't just let go of all your thoughts and just throw yourself into acting. You have to think about making sure that you're doing it right so you don't have to do a million takes. So you want to get it.
Yes. Um, because I totally understand because like, back in the day, it is hard to like reanimate the mouth,
Yeah.
to the English, to the English like mouth flaps. So
Yeah.
that's why mouth flapping was like easier and
Mm.
it like saves you time.
Yeah.
But now like with Final Fantasy, like they mentioned, yeah, like we didn't have to do mount flaps anymore. Like the animators actually rigged the mounts to like make sure it's the English, like they kind of like make sure it matches like the way you say it in English without having to like constrain to like a time,
Hmm.
the amount of like time you have to say a line. So that makes it like easier on the voice actors where they're like, oh no, I have to like think in my head how
Yeah, for
fast I
sure.
have to
Oh,
say
I
it.
love modern technology.
Absolutely. Like like it makes it more authentic.
True.
So all right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
Yeah, so I know we announced you for Sonic Revolution online, and there are in-person Sonic conventions popping up now, like Sonic Neon Summit and Sonic Expo, and of course Sonic Revolution in person. Would you consider going to a Sonic convention in the near future?
I, it is a dream of mine to go to a Sonic convention. It is a dream. I have a friend that has been asking me for years when I'm ever going to do a convention. I'm like, no one cares about me. No one wants to see me. No one cares. Why would I do that? No one's ever asked me to do that. It is a dream of mine to do that. If anyone's listening.
Sonic Expo and Sonic Neon Summit. Are you listening?
I'm willing to travel.
Yeah, like I think what's interesting about Sonic conventions, that are in person, we have like different generations of voice actors that come in.
Yeah.
Like for example, with last year we had Ryan Drummond, we had David Humphrey, we had Scott Dreyer, to represent the Dreamcast era voice actors. And then, of course, we had Jason Griffith, Lisa Ortiz, Pete Capella, and they represent the Four Kids era, the early, right after the Dreamcast. And then we have like the current like VAs, Dave B. Mitchell, Ryan Bartley, and then we actually had one of the movie actors. So we have like, I
Wow.
think we had like different generations who all have like had a contribution to the Sonic franchise, So
I
well,
love.
like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just said I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's just bringing so many different generations and different medias, like because I know Sonic OVA, like it's kind of like for like the older fans, who grew up with it but still remember it. And then of course we're getting like introducing it to like to the new generation where they're like, oh, I didn't know like Sonic had like an animated movie, because like I had
Yeah.
I had no idea either until like when I started getting into it and then I did. I'm like, wait, this had an actual animated movie where it was like animated 2D. I was like, let me watch this. Um, but yeah, like with all these like conventions, they like to bring in different generations. It's not just celebrating the current cast in the games. We celebrate the different like medias, and those who all have contributed.
I love that. I love that. It's like a little Sonic family.
Yeah, and that's why we want to be sure we are like gathering all of the VAs, because Sonic OVA, like the older fans especially, like grew up with it, and and it even though it is very outdated now, but it still holds up.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
still watchable.
Yeah, like it still holds up.
Yeah.
And it represented the classic era of Sonic very well. So I think, you know, um introducing, oh, this is what like a classic era Sonic like animated movie was you get to see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles had like the cowboy hat. um
Right. Oh, yeah.
and everything. So this movie just really just stands the test of time, and people still watch it to this day, whether you're like an older fan or a newer fan.
Yeah, it was really fun introducing it to my nephew. He was like at the perfect age for it, and he didn't know about it, and he loved it.
Mm. Like, did you let your nephew know that you voiced in it?
Yes, I gave him when I moved, I found a box of all my old DVDs. I mean, not sorry DVDs, sorry VHSs, cassette tapes. Excuse me. Um, I found a box of all the old VHS tapes of all of the old voiceovers that I had done, and Sonic was in there, and it was still wrapped in its plastic and everything. And so I autographed it and I gave it to my nephew because I just thought it would be funny. And then, and I told him about the movie, and so we watched it together, and he loved it, and it was so cute. Oh, it was so fun. It was really fun. And then he watched it again, and he watched it again, and he really thought that that was cool, but he really, really thought it was even cooler that I was in it and that he now has an autographed copy of the original VHS. So,
Oh, that's very
Aw.
sweet. The next generation of fans, everyone.
yeah, totally.
And I want to add on to what Leah said. It's just wonderful to see, the original voice actors who haven't been on the scene in years, coming to these conventions and meeting fans who go up to them and saying, "Oh my gosh, I grew up, hearing your voice. Thank you for bringing me so much joy to my childhood," and wanting to get an autograph and a picture with them.
I love that. I just think that's so incredible to have been a part of something that people love so much. I never could have imagined that it would have been this.
Mhm. Absolutely. But that's really cool that your nephew like enjoys something that you were involved in.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really hard to show old tapes. I mean, I couldn't show anybody an old DVD, but I remember, I had some CDs of old shows that I had done, trying to show my daughter, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is so old and so dated." But with the Sonic movie, it was like, showing my nephew, like I said, he was at the perfect age. Um, and it really holds up, and he loved it because of course he loves Sonic. So, um, and he didn't know about it. So, yeah. I just love how it holds up and it's still watchable and it's still funny and it's still fun to watch, It's not like watching other things that haven't aged as well, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like I think, um with the movie just capturing, the very essence of the classic Sonic, especially for like fans, like older fans who grew up playing like the classic games. It's very nostalgic for them, and it's always nice to hear when like the newer generation enjoys the classic content as
Yeah.
well.
I know. Because it was so sweet and so simple back then, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you, Sasha. Okay. Ooh, okay. What are some of your interests outside of voice acting?
Um, Yoga, um, spending time with my animals, being outdoors, um, chilling like a villain. I just finished owning and running a bakery and cafe and wholesale bakery for over 10 years. So I am enjoying the simpler, quieter, more peaceful, less stressful life right now. So I love all things that are calm and not stressful.
Yes, that is so relatable, right? Like
Yeah,
like we all don't want to deal with stress,
I know.
Um and but that's really cool that you do yoga,
I
I
do.
know I know yoga is really good for like stress relief.
It is. Yeah, I used to be a yoga teacher a long time ago. I practiced and then I taught for many years. And then I took a break and just started this year getting back to it. And, I find that it's been really good for not just my physical health, but my mental health especially. And so I'm feeling really good being back up on my mat. So, yeah.
Nice. I can just like imagine, if Sarah wanted to release some stress, she just does yoga.
With their little tail in the air.
Yes. Like I could just imagine it. It's like okay, let me just do this and just do yoga and do
Yeah.
some poses, to do some stress relief.
I will not have a tantrum today. I will not have a tantrum today.
All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Sasha?
If hypothetically Sega ever came to you and asked you to voice a character in the franchise today, would you consider doing it?
Oh my God. Hello. I probably wouldn't even pause before saying yes.
Sega, are you listening?
I know. If anyone's listening, I'm available and I will travel.
Nice. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you. Wait, is there like any specific dialect you would like to learn when you
Oh,
when you did voice acting? I'm very curious.
gosh. I have to admit, I really suck at dialects, and I took lots of dialect classes. Um, I I always thought I could like maybe do a nice British accent, but I'm not really very good at that. I don't know why dialects were always, actually, I do know why okay, I do know why dialects were hard for me because I lacked the confidence to pull it off, I think. Like I always
Mhm.
felt a little bit like a faker. And so luckily I never had to do anything real super dialecty ever,
Hmm.
I don't think. Southern I'd be fine with, obviously, but like from another country, um I really struggle, I gotta be honest. But I'm a fast learner. So, so if I did, I know how to learn it phonetically.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. It's that voice and diction kicking in, kids. Voice and diction.
Yeah, like because when you mention I kind of sound like I'm fake, it's like that's totally understandable because when you're doing dialects, you don't want to come off stereotyping them,
Yeah.
which is definitely hard because from if you're from from the US and then you hear like British accent and then you try to do one and then probably like British people might look at you like that's not how we sound,
I
you
know.
know. So I totally understand like yeah, that's definitely difficult, you know,
Yeah.
because you don't like because whenever I hear people like because when I hear people try to do like a specific, like maybe Australian accent, I'm like, oh, you don't want to be stereotyping them. And I do have like Australian friends, so and they said, oh, that's so like, oh, that sounds so weird. It doesn't sound right. So it's like I totally get like, yeah, you don't want to be stereotyping their accent, because that's the way, people here in the US hear it, but from their perspective, no, that's not what we sound
I
like.
know. I know. My Australian accent.
So I totally get like the lack of confidence because it's like I feel like I need to have like a dialect coach,
Yeah.
because a
Yeah. And I
dialect
mean,
coach can definitely
yeah.
help.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if I had a part and it had an accent, I would have a script and then I would be able to break everything down phonetically and learn
Mhm.
it phonetically in that accent, instead of memorizing the words like in my accent in my head. I would be constantly almost like seeing the words in the way that they're meant to be pronounced. And that's how I would learn them, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I know there was like a story that Roger Craig Smith has mentioned that when he was recording for Assassin's Creed, it was more of like a like Spanish accent, European Spanish, obviously, and he had like a dialect coach there when he was like reading the lines in the different language, and the dialect coach actually mentioned, oh no, this like because he didn't know how to say. He's like da, 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 and then the dialect coach, no, this is how you actually say it. So the dialect coach really helped with his pronunciation. Um, so dialect coaches can definitely help you with that, so that way you can actually pronounce the words correctly,
For sure.
in the dialect.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. I see a question in the chat by Gokin. Question for Sasha. What was your favorite Sarah moment in Sonic OVA? I believe this was touched upon earlier.
It's the tantrum. It's always gonna be the tantrum. It was just so fun.
It's kind of like I get to be a kid in this.
I know. And it's just like do whatever, just go crazy, have fun, and like just throwing that tantrum. Like I feel like I can remember that day. Like it was just so fun. And it's just so fun to be able to just really let loose like that?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of like you're letting out your inner child,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it's kind of like even though you're like an adult, there's nothing wrong with like unleashing your inner child because like literally that's what Sarah's character is, you know. She likes throwing those tantrums.
That's for sure.
Oh my gosh, go kid. Oh my gosh, she put my most favorite tantrum was when Sarah visioned her kids at robotic. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that scene.
Yeah, that scene.
Like I don't blame you. I think that was like my favorite tantrum scene. She's like, no, I don't. Um, but yeah. It's so hilarious, Go Kid. Yeah. I because I know we were like talking about that specific scene earlier.
Yeah.
Um, but all right, Kevin. Do you have another question for Sasha?
I'm afraid I can't think of any more questions. I'm sorry.
Okay, you did good.
Ooh, okay. So this person, Jojo Mon Returns 91. If you were to come back in a Sonic like game, who would you play as? So I guess in a Sonic game in general.
Tails.
Ooh, interesting.
As
Yeah.
a Tails fan, I approve.
Same.
Ooh, that is so interesting. I'm very curious. Why Tails? I'm just curious.
Okay. I just always loved the way that he just always was like right there behind Sonic, like in the game. He was just my favorite. He was so cute and he was always just right there, you know? And he would just follow and be there. And he was, I don't know, I just love him. He's so cute.
Ooh. They literally they literally said because Tails is adorable and awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Like because I would love to hear what your Tails voice would sound like, Sasha. Because I'm very
No.
curious to
I don't
see.
even know what Tails sounds like anymore. I haven't even heard Tails in a million years.
The current voice of Tails is Colleen O'Shaughnessy.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and she actually also voices movie Tales as well. So
Oh,
she's doing both the games
awesome.
and the movies. Um, so it's definitely a huge honor for her because most of the time when it comes to animated movies, they most of the time Hollywood likes to cast celebrity actors.
Yeah.
You know, she's one of those like rare exceptions where they kept the voice actor and not recast them.
And that's nice for the fans too, because the fans get used to a voice.
Hmm.
And then when it changes, it can kind of be unsettling for a minute to kind of try to get used to the new voice, you know, especially if it's someone famous. You're used to hearing their voice doing so many other things. Uh,
Hmm.
I think it's great they did that. Good for her.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, okay. Oh, Jojo Mon Returns 91 said, also, yeah, I don't know who did Tales in the OVA, but it's funny when he said, You're no help. The girl who did that line almost did a Barbara Goodson or Mona Marshall. I wonder if you guys can help. Kevin, do you remember that scene in the OVA?
Oh, yes, I do. So basically, it's the scene where, the old man is in the plane that's on fire, and Tails is like, we gotta go save him. With Sonic like, nah, I don't want to do it. And Tails is like, you're no help. With Sonic like falling over.
Oh,
The person who voiced it was I can't I hope I'm pronouncing it right, like Liane Fraser. Mm, mm,
oh
Um,
wait, let me go look
is
up.
it Lainey?
Let me put it in the chat here. Maybe you can pronounce it better than I can.
Lainey.
Yeah, Lane
Yeah,
Fraser.
Lainey Frazier.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also very curious, Sasha. What did you think of like Sarah's like wedding dress in the movie?
Oh my God, I forgot about the wedding dress. Oh my gosh. I can't even remember what it looked like. What did it look like?
It was like a white dress with like go golden and basically when Sarah wore it like, well, Barney, don't you think I look cute? And with
Oh
the
my
the
gosh.
scene following afterwards, like, yeah, now we can get married, Sarah.
I always found that scene pretty funny. Like she didn't even know the implications. Wait, I'm marrying
I know, right?
you.
Yeah, cause in the scene before that, it was Barney like, here, I have something special for you, Sarah. Which when he pulled out the dress and like Sarah, like,
I forgot.
hey.
Like it's just so funny because when you think about Sarah is still a child, you
Yeah.
know, like obviously they never gave us the age of her character, but it's obvious like she is still a
It's a little
child.
awkward that she, yeah.
Because when I saw that scene, I'm like, huh? I was confused by that scene because she's like, don't I look adorable? And I'm like, oh man, you don't know the implications. And then she's like, wait a minute. Then wait, you're serious, aren't you? So I think that was always like pretty funny. It's funny and awkward.
Yeah, totally. It's funny and like a little cringe, but that's okay. It was the 90s.
And I'm very curious to know your reaction to that moment when like Sarah gave Knuckles a kiss on the cheek.
Oh, that's so cute. I forgot about that. I just need to watch it again. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah,
many
it was the
cute
scene where
moments.
Sarah's like, will you do it for me, brave
That's
man? But he kisses
right.
him, and Cap's like, yeah, you're right. Yes, ma'am. And does it.
So cute.
One of the
Like,
scenes I remember the most is when Tail was falling and he was falling into a snowball and he lands on everyone and Knuckles is like, Tails, get off, with Tail saying, I'm so sorry, like, and with Knuckles saying, I never thought you stooped that low. And of course the scene flew everyone over everyone's heads at the time. But yeah, that's another scene that a lot of fans will point to as well.
mhm.
Things over the head on that.
Ooh. Oh, Gokin said the moment Sarah laughed and made Knuckles uncomfortable when he was carrying her made me laugh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like the movie is kind of like there are parts that are cringe, like we can all admit it.
Yeah.
But it's like a funny cringe where you're like, okay, it was the 90s, so it's a totally different time, from now.
Yeah.
So it's like it's something we can just like laugh about and like, oh, like this is funny, but it's cringe at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of stuff in anime back then was some of it was a little questionable sometimes. So yeah, tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. Here is what do you think is the most challenging for you when it comes to like recording or voice acting in general?
Well, I haven't done it in a really long time, but what was always challenging for me was just kind of just being in the right headspace, being prepared for, whatever was going to happen. Just, attitude is everything. So just really, and it was easy to have a good attitude because I was always so excited to be doing whatever I was doing. It didn't matter what I was doing. I loved doing it. Um, so yeah, I think, I'm at this place in my life where I'm like, what do I want to do now? Since I've closed my business and I'm like, hmm, after all this yoga, what do I want to do with my life? And I think of all the things that I've done, voiceover is probably my favorite thing that I've ever done as a career or as a job. Um, so, I think that if I were to try to get back into it, or if I were to want to do it again, or if I were to start doing it again, I would kind of approach it the way that I used to approach it. I would start treating my voice like an instrument again. I would start working on voice and diction again. I would start, really preparing myself for using all parts of myself to throw myself back into that craft, to be able to be more creative, more out there, more interesting, deeper. I'm older now. My voice is deeper. I could play different parts, and I wouldn't play young people anymore. I might play older people. So I would have a different range now. So yeah, I think I would probably just approach it the same way that I always did, which was with a great attitude of, let's do this, let's have fun, let's get it done.
Mm, nice. Yeah, because that you are using like your prior experience in theater, in voice acting, you get to like um and and you're still thinking about, yeah, my voice is an instrument, gotta make sure I take care of that. So I think, having a mindset like that is always good because you have to treat your voice and instruments with care, because obviously, um, especially your voice, because your voice is like the only way for you to do voice acting, you know.
True.
Um, all right, Kevin, do you have you thought up of any other questions for Sasha?
I haven't, sadly.
Mm. Gotcha. Oh, okay. I know you've done theater, Sasha. So what do you think is most rewarding when it comes to like doing theater?
Oh gosh. I mean, I find theater to be one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. Um, I just recently reconnected with some old theater friends, and my mom and I were talking about how I changed from my dance school to the theater school. And it was because they had the one thing that the dance school didn't have. They had a stage, and that's where I wanted to be. Um, Theater gave me something in my life that I don't think I could have gotten from anywhere or anything else. The people that I have met along the way doing theater, the people that I've worked with, directors that I've worked with, plays that I've done, parts that I've played, I really am so grateful that I was given the opportunity as such a young child to become involved in theater because I really think that it really shaped my life. It gave me life skills that I still use today. And it helped shape my career. It gave me a skill set that I didn't realize that I had. It made me good at things that I didn't know I was going to be good at. So, yeah, I'm extremely grateful for the theater career that I had.
Wonderful. Oh, all right. Kevin, would you like to read the question in the chat? Because I see one in the chat.
Yeah, sure. Let me just get to that tab real quick. One question is that have you ever wanted to check out Sonic Revolution next year? Ooh, we would love to have you next year for an in-person
Yeah.
event.
I'll put it on my calendar.
There you go, Jojo.
Just let me know when, and I'll put
You
it on the
got it.
calendar.
Yeah, because they said I would love to meet you and some of the other Sonic OVA voice actors. I'm like, yes, like I feel like the Sonic OVA voice actors are like very underrated, like
Yeah, I mean, we were
um
like a little VHS thing, you know,
mhm.
but it's grown
Yeah.
into like it. I mean, I never would have thought it would have grown into what it's grown into.
Hmm. Yeah, because obviously it has like its own continuity, and it was just one movie,
Yeah.
you know. So like meanwhile the games, they're still ongoing, and the main games is, obviously the main canon for the
Hmm.
franchise,
Yeah.
but this really brought a lot of people, a lot of fans are like, oh, I want to meet these VAs, because people grew up with Sonic OVA. Um like I wish I would have grew up with it. Like when I got into the Sonic franchise, I did not know about Sonic OVA until like obviously some of my other Sonic friends are like, have you seen Sonic OVA? I'm like, what's that? And they're like, you don't know? So they said, just look it up. And I did. And I'm like, okay, I can see why people love this movie. Um, but it's always such a pleasure, to get to book like VAs, that were like in a specific like media, especially like Sonic OVA was just one movie,
Yeah.
animated movie. And then we haven't got any like animated movies like fully like either in like CGI or 2D since then, which is crazy. Like I wouldn't really count the actual live action because that's live action.
Yeah.
So that's like an entirely different media, and Sonic OVA is like pretty much our only like official like Sonic like animated movie that's been out,
That's crazy.
so yeah, like I'm hoping one day, like if they bring you to voice in like a new Sonic like animated movie, I would love to hear your voice, just as like a full circle moment. It's been like so many years since
I
we
know.
got like a Sonic animated movie that's either in 2D or 3D CGI,
That's so cool.
so because it would be so interesting, just as like a callback. It's like, hey, let's get all these voice actors who voiced in Sonic OVA and then just put it in and then have them as like cameos in like the new
It'd be
Sonic
so
animated
fun.
movie or something. It would be so great, if they actually like actually reference OVA and then they just reference Sarah.
She's off in the
And then
background
like
having a tantrum.
yeah. But at least someone is like excited. They're like, yes. It's like
Yeah.
Um, and they said, I will make sure to put it on my calendar too if you do come for like that's what the JoJo Mon Return said. They're
Yeah.
like, please come to Sonic Revolution next year. Um, yeah, it's a little bit weird. We're not doing it in person this year. We just have Rebel Online, but of course you're going to be there, which is you're going to be like talking, you're gonna have like fans like asking you questions.
Fun.
Um, ooh. All right, Kevin. Do you have another question for Sasha?
Oh, I did think of one. So since you just recently got back in contact with Charles Campbell, the voice of Old Man L, I'm curious what it was like to reconnect with another cast member after all these years.
Well, Charles was the only cast member that I knew. Um, and we worked together a lot. And so when I got his email address, I was like, I don't know why I have this thing where I think people won't remember me. So I sent him this email. I was like, "Hello, it's Sarah." And he was so happy to hear from me and I was so happy to talk to him and it was it was so nice because we both kind of like have the same kind of feeling of how fun it was working together and how much fun we had on the project. And um, it was really, really great to reconnect. And I would love to work with him again just because it was just like no time had passed at all since the last time I saw him and worked with him. So it was pretty awesome. I was very, very excited to talk to Charles. Yeah.
Nice. Good. Because I know you mentioned earlier that you pretty much just like you were in the booth by yourself and you didn't get to meet the other like voice actors, recording their lines or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I believe you mentioned before we started this interview that Charles like helped out with the what was it? He helped out for Sonic OVA, I believe, right? That's what you mentioned?
Yes. He was in the booth with Gary, is how I remember it.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that's right. But he might remember it differently. But I'm pretty sure that that's right.
Mm.
Hmm.
Ah, gotcha.
But I don't have my
Because
VHS to double check.
but that must have been a relief that he still remembered you after all these years though, because that was just like one project I believe that you both
Yeah,
voiced in, right? Like
yeah, but we worked together on other things where he was in the booth and I was doing the voice acting. So
mm,
we weren't just both voices on Sonic. We worked together several times. Um,
ah,
yeah, so I had worked with him before and after Sonic. So we weren't just voices on Sonic that didn't like meet each other. We knew each other because we worked together. So we had a really, really amazing work relationship. I really think, that contributed to my love of doing voiceover work in general, especially doing dubbing. I loved it. Um, so yeah. But yeah, reconnecting with
oh.
him after so many years was just awesome because he's one of my favorite people always. And so it always feels really nice to reconnect with someone that you remember so fondly and then to have them remember you so fondly is obviously it's a great feeling.
Oh, that's
Mm.
wonderful to hear, and I'm
Oh.
happy for you both. I'm curious, who did the voice direction and the OVA dub?
Gary, last name started with a D. I'd have to Google.
Mm.
I'd have to Google it.
Okay.
I can't remember. I feel like Gary did the voice
Mm.
too, but maybe not. But yeah, I feel like Gary was his name and his last name started with a D.
Mm.
Yeah. And I feel like Charles was in the booth with him.
Mm. Very interesting.
Yeah.
But
Charles can
that's really
confirm or deny.
oh, go ahead.
Charles can confirm or deny, I suppose.
Uh but yeah, like I think it just shows that like he enjoyed working with you on various projects,
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
like it just shows that you had like this great connection, just working together, on various projects. And then he's like, "Hey, yeah, I remember you," and then Jaden Man said Gary DeHaan.
Yeah.
Does the last name?
Yep, that's it. I knew it started with a D. Good job. Good Googling.
Thank you, Jaden Man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay, yeah. Does Charles have credit, Googler?
um, I
I'm wondering if
am
someone will
not
put it in the chat.
sure.
I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Charles will tell you, but yeah. Um it's just as an actor, you sometimes work with directors that are very strict. They have a very set idea of how they want everything to be, and they want it to be that way. And so you are there to do it their way. They are the director, and you are the actor, and they are directing you. Then you have directors that understand that there's some wiggle room, you know? We're in this together. Like, this is the character that you're playing, and we all kind of come together to figure out how to make that work or whatever. There's more of a collaboration spirit. There's more of a give and take spirit, rather than like, okay, you're here to do this part this way. Um, and so, kind of the relationship that we had, there was a lot of trust there. And just knowing that you can count on somebody to do it a million different ways until we find the way that works. Because we're all just here having fun. And we want to have something come out great. So just being fearless and having fun, I think was our thing, really working together.
Mm. Wow. Ooh, okay. Looks like we have two questions in the chat. All right. By Jadenman89. Have you done any other voice acting roles other than Sarah? What have you done since? That's Jadenman's question.
Um, After I graduated, I moved to Dallas to work for a production company and do more theater and performing, um, live performing. I did, I think I did a couple of other voiceover things, but nothing that would be earth-shattering like Sarah, you know. Like I said, I had done a few other dubs. Um, but unless you were able to find them, I don't even know if they exist in the world anymore. Um, but yeah, I went back to theater pretty much, and just did theater and performing, after that. And then I did do some, Charles had a production company or was directing or doing something. And I did do at least one, maybe two gigs with him, in the early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s. But other than that, no, that's it. I kind of retired when I became a mom in the early 2000s. So anything I did mid 2000s was just coming out of retirement, basically, and having fun with old friends.
Mhm. Mm, okay. All right. Here is the final question before we end this interview. This by another question by Jojo Mon Returns 91. Did you get to meet any of the other Sonic VAs in the games or from the other shows?
No, I never met anyone. We never ever crossed paths. We never were in the booth together. I have never done a convention or anything or had a reason to have been in a room with any of them. So no is my sad answer.
Oh. It would be cool if you got to meet like the other like VAs from Sonic OVA.
I know it would
Um
be.
All right. Looks like unfortunately I will have to end Q&A. I want to thank you, Sasha, for taking time to do this Q&A here on my YouTube channel. I truly always appreciate my guests always taking time, to do these Q&As.
I really appreciate you having me. This has been so, so much fun and so meaningful. I really, really can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And of course, I got to give shout out to Kevin here. I want to thank you, man, for like co-hosting with me for Sasha's Q&A.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and of course, I'm going to announce my upcoming Q&As. I do have two upcoming ones this month. And wait, let me go to my schedule just to be sure I don't get the dates wrong. The next Got a Spotlight with LSR, episode 41, is Q&A with G to the next level. So if you are a huge fan of G to the next level, I will be doing a Q&A with them on September 18th at 4 p.m. PT, 7 p.m. ET. And then, of course, on September 22 at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET is the 42nd episode of God Spotlight with LSR. And it will be a Q&A with Charles Campbell. So, yeah, basically, doing two Sonic OVA VA Q&As this month. So, um, but yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that bell notifications for upcoming live streams and video content on my YouTube channel. And stay tuned for upcoming Twitter spaces as well. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye.